fantasy football semifinals. And yes, you still need to attack the waiver wire with as much conviction as you did in week one, because, hey, the championship is almost here. Breaking down who to pick up this week is SI fantasy analyst Michael Fabiano. And Fabs, let's get to some quarterbacks who can help people win their championship.
Hey, man, Jalen Hurts so good. How about that? Really good performance from the Eagles rookie against the Saints, putting up right around 19 fantasy points in the game, rushed for 106 yards. He's got the Cardinals coming up. That'll be an interesting battle between Hurts and Kyler Murray, so he is certainly worth an add. Mitchell Trubisky, one of my DFS bargains from a week ago, looked pretty good. 3 touchdowns against the Texans. He's got the Vikings coming up next. These quarterbacks are likely more valuable in 2 QB or super flex leagues because with only 4 teams alive in most leagues right now, you probably have your quarterback pretty much set. Some other players, Tua Tagovailoa had a big game against the Chiefs. Now he's got the Patriots coming up next, so he's not startable in traditional redrafts. But again, multi-quarterback leagues, you can certainly use him. He had a very, very solid game, 316 yards and 3 total touchdowns. Some other quarterbacks, Phillip Rivers against the Texans. Teddy Bridgewater's got the Packers. He had a big game. And then Derek Carr, I guess it depends on how much of a gambler you are, Thursday night against the Chargers.
Let's move over to running back. Any rushers catch your eye?
So Cam Akers is still available in about 40% of leagues on ESPN. So just check. He's probably gone if you're in a competitive league, but if he's out there, go out and pick him up. He's got the Jets this week. I mean, you want to talk about Christmas coming early. And then Lynn Bowden. Now, Bowden has got running back eligibility in some leagues, and he's got running back and wide receiver eligibility in others. He had 59 snaps this past week, 9 targets. He's had 13 targets in his last 2 games. Devontae Parker got hurt. Now, you've got Myles Gaskin and Matt Breida on the COVID list. You've got Salvon Ahmed, who is hurt. So if the Dolphins are down all these backs again, suddenly Lynn Bowden, the rookie, could be a viable flex starter against the New England Patriots. A couple of other backs to maybe pick up and stash. Jeff Wilson, he's got the Cowboys coming up, although I think Raheem Mostert is the best fantasy play in San Francisco's backfield. And then Tony Pollard. I've been talking about him for weeks and weeks and weeks. Zeke just does not look good. Even against the Bengals, he put up a stinker. And Pollard basically split the workload with Zeke, so maybe Pollard is an add and stash.
Let's go to wide receivers. Any pass catchers that can help people win their Week 15 semifinal matchup?
You know what, man? I've been screaming from the mountaintops. Pick up Nelson Aguilar. Nobody wants to listen. He's available in like 70% of leagues right now. He had 9 targets, 5 catches, a touchdown, 21 points against the Colts. He has seen 9 or more targets in 3 of his last 4 games, guys. That's all we want is targets. And he's got the Chargers on Thursday Night Football. Tim Patrick, 5 targets, 3 catches, and a touchdown, almost 13 points against Carolina. He's now had 3 touchdowns in his last 2 games, and he's given you 11-plus points in 3 of 4. And he's got Buffalo coming up next. Kiki QT, he's available in about 70% of leagues. Now, he only had 3 targets. He did have a touchdown against the Bears. But if Brandon Cooks misses another game, well, QT could be the number 1 receiver for Deshaun Watson against the Colts. Some other wide receivers to target. Gabriel Davis has a touchdown in 3 straight games for the Bills. KJ Hamler didn't have many targets, but he had a huge game this past week against Carolina. Russell Gage, if Julio Jones remains out, and then Keelan Cole in deeper leagues for the Jags.
Let's move over to the last position. That's tight ends. Everyone needs a tight end at this time of year, unless you have Travis Kelce and Darren Waller. So who should people consider picking up?
Bill, there's not much out there. Logan Thomas is probably the best add. He's had 16 targets in his last 2 games, over 26 fantasy points in that time. He's got Seattle coming up next. If Kyle Rudolph can't play again, which would be a shame because it is the holiday season, Irv Smith Jr. had 4 targets and a touchdown against the Buccaneers. He's got the Bears coming up, and they can't stop tight ends. Now, Tyler Eifert has been bad for most of the season, right? He's got the Jets. The Jets have given up more points to tight ends than any team in the National Football League. Will Dissly scored against them in Week 14. So if you're really desperate, Tyler Higbee could be out there. And Dan Arnold is like a touchdown machine suddenly. In deeper leagues, maybe DFS, he's worth a look against Philadelphia.
Now we have plenty more fantasy football strategy and advice from Michael Fabiano all week long right here on Sports Illustrated. Check out his Stardom Situm, his PPR rankings. Everything is at si.com/fantasy.